And I reminded him that he is not defined by other people. He's defined by the character of his heart, the honesty of his dialogue, and the man that we will miss.
Welcome to the Character Class podcast, where we share stories, solutions, and strategies for strengthening character. Here's your host, author, speaker, and character educator, Andrew Francis.
The Character Class is back in session. Thank you for tuning in. This episode of the Character Class podcast continues our series on the character of a nation. Whether you are listening for the first time or you are a subscriber to the podcast, I hope that you will find the stories, strategies, and practical ways shared here at the Character Class podcast useful in strengthening character and valuable to you as a business professional, educator, and leader. At the beginning of our program, Representative Mark Meadows of North Carolina shared some words of reflection regarding the passing of his friend, the Honorable Elijah E. Cummings. To be defined by the character of the heart and the honesty of dialogue in a polarized political climate is no easy feat. Yet, it is the character that defines the who you are, who you will be, and who you will be remembered as. Your character. Honorable was just one of the character traits attributed to U.S. Representative Elijah Cummings. Former President Barack Obama honored the congressman and civil rights leader for his honor and commitment to service with the following.
There's nothing weak about looking out for others. There's nothing weak about being honorable. You're not a sucker to have integrity and to treat others with respect. I was sitting here and I was just noticing the Honorable Elijah E. Cummings. And, this is a title that we confer on all kinds of people who get elected to public office. We're supposed to introduce them as honorable. But Elijah Cummings was honorable before he was elected to office. There's a difference.
Within this excerpt, it was the character qualities that were being highlighted. Looking out for others, being honorable, having integrity, and respecting others. Secretary Clinton added that his integrity and character, his can-do spirit, made him a guiding light in the Congress. I know that we expect people to say nice things at funerals, so I decided to do my own research. And I found a foreword that Chairman Cummings wrote on July 17th for the book In Defense of Public Service, How 22 Million Government Workers Will Save Our Republic, written by Cedric L. Alexander. In that foreword, this is what he said. As I pen these words, we are living through a time in our nation's history when powerful forces are seeking to divide us one from another. When the legitimacy of our constitutional institutions is under attack and when factually supported truth itself has come under relentless challenge. I am among those who have not lost confidence in our ability to right the ship of American democratic life, but I also realize that we are in a fight for the soul of our democracy. And as an American of color, I have been able to receive an excellent public education, become an attorney, and serve my community and country in both the Maryland General Assembly and Congress because of one very important fact. Americans of conscience, from every political vantage point, took our Constitution seriously and fought for my right to be all that I could become. This is the personal debt that I and so many others with my heritage owe to our democratic republic, to the 20 million plus Americans who serve our republic and its values in our nation's civil service. And this is also why I personally will remain in the fight to preserve our republic and the humane and equitable values at its foundation for as long as I can draw breath. It was to our Constitution, and not to any political perspective or party, that I gave my oath when I became an officer of the court, when I joined the Maryland legislature, and when I was selected to serve in Congress. It is this commitment that I bring to my work as chairman of the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, the committee that has direct oversight over our federal civil service. From my more than 2 decades of experience performing this oversight, I can confirm that our nation's federal employees deserve our respect, gratitude, and support. When people in the leadership of the nation attack our courts, the members of our Congress, our civil servants, and our media, they are attacking the glue that holds our diverse nation together as the United States of America. And when these attackers do so on the basis of factually unfounded opinion rather than verifiable evidence, they are engaged in demagoguery of the most dangerous sort. This is why our civil service, committed to maintaining the rule of law and decision-making based on verifiable facts, is so important to maintaining the legitimacy of our government, both elected and appointed. Under our democratic republic, elected leaders make policy but must rely on civil servants appointed on the basis of merit to implement those public policies. We must rely on the expertise of our merit-based civil service if we wish to have a government that addresses the factual realities of our lives, to the extent that human beings can ever achieve that goal. This duty to find and implement the truth, as I have mentioned, is the province of our civil servants, whether they serve in Washington, our states, or in the law enforcement agencies of our country. This is not to say that our government agencies always get it right or that they never overreach. Human beings, however talented and well-meaning, make mistakes. As citizens of the great democratic republic in the world, we have the privilege and duty to recall our nation's founding and to engage our nation on the basis of those fundamental principles. I hold fast to this conviction because the functioning, indeed the very legitimacy, of our democratic system has been under attack for some time. I am speaking, of course, of the continuing attacks on our elections, from sources both foreign and domestic, and of the failure of too many of my colleagues in Congress and the White House to adequately defend us against those attacks. For the unity and future of our republic, our Congress must reassert its constitutional obligation of oversight, seeking and obtaining the answers to serious questions of governance that until now have gone unanswered. We must perform this constitutional duty so effectively and convincingly that those Americans who support this president and his administration and those who disagree will reach a shared and united answer as to how our nation must proceed. I remain confident that we can fulfill this historic duty. To succeed, however, we will need our federal civil service and the Americans who serve us there to give us their complete and unbiased cooperation. To the extent that we are required to do so, We will enforce that cooperation through action in our courts, but I sincerely hope that this route will seldom be necessary. Toward this end, I will close with this pledge. In the words of my heroine, former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan from 1974, "My faith in the Constitution is whole. It is complete. It is total. And I am not going to sit here and be an idle spectator in the diminution, the subversion, or the destruction of the Constitution. I hope and trust that all Americans feel and will do the same." Within that brief foreword, there were at least 10 character traits emphasized as vital to maintaining our democracy: unity, truth, gratitude, dignity, respect, commitment, service, duty, forgiveness, and cooperation. We are all responsible for shaping the character of our nation. So my character challenge for you this week is to take the time to examine the ways in which you can use your character to influence our democracy for good. You can send me a note with what you've come up with, and I'll select a few of them to post on our online platforms or feature on our Facebook and Instagram pages. You can find us at Character Class, one word, or on Twitter at character_class, or simply email us at podcast@thecharacterclass.com. Share your story with us and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. Follow us online, leave a review, and join in on the conversation. All of our references and links to additional content from today's podcast can be accessed over on our show note. We will leave you with an excerpt from the inaugural speech that then freshman Congressman Elijah Cummings shared on the House floor.
I've often said on the floor of the Maryland House of Delegates that our world would be a much better world and a much better place if we would only concentrate on the things we have in common instead of concentrating on our differences. It's easy to find differences, very easy. We need to take more time to find common ground. And so my mission is one that comes out of a vision that was created long, long ago. It is a mission and a vision to empower people, to make people realize that the power is within them, that they too can do the things that they want to do. And so I'm about that mission. And I'm looking forward to joining with all of you as we travel this road I often call journey, which I define as life. And there's a poem that Heron Mitchell said many, many years ago that I say sometimes 20 times a day, and it's a very simple poem, but it's one that I live by. It says, "I only have a minute, 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, I did not choose it, but I know that I must use it, give account if I abuse it, suffer if I lose it. Only a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it." And so I join you as we move forward to uplift not only the nation, but the world. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Thank you for listening to the Character Class podcast. You can follow the Character Class on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you've not already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another Character Class podcast.